Sorry. Jared, you want to do the pledge? We will get this meeting underway. We do have a quorum. Mr. English, would you do the pledge? I would look for a motion to approve the agenda as presented.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, that will take us to recognitions. We'll start with the Galaxy Glow Run 5K.
Sorry, this is the first time using these. Good evening. I'm excited to bring the Grain Valley Education Foundation Director Jerry Vaughn to the podium, who will recognize 3 students from Prairie Branch Elementary for their distinguished performance.
Good evening. I would like, before we start to recognize them, I would like for you all to think about when you were in the 4th grade and what was the most important thing for you at recess. Making your community a better place to live, I doubt if that even made the top 10. I know it didn't for me, and if you're honest, you'll say the same thing. But it was one of the most important things to these 3 young men. And I think even more important was after they put this idea together and then talked to their parents didn't say, oh, you're too young, you know, this is beyond anything you could do. Instead, they said, okay, you want to do this? Let's proceed. Let's see if we can make it happen. Next thing I knew, Dr. Welly, myself, and the fathers, and these 3 young men were in a meeting. And from there, the Galaxy Glow Run was born. And before we knew it, it happened. And they were able to find sponsors. They were able to get people to sign up. In total, they ended up having 105 registrants for the Glow Run. They had 3 sponsors: Newkirk Novak, Hollis and Miller, and I knew I was going to forget one. Duncan Academy. Thank you. They had 30 donors that donated anywhere from $1 to $100, ended up with almost $1,400 in donations in addition to the sponsorships. And after we got done with all the expenses and everything, they were able to see a profit of nearly $3,800 to go towards the classroom grants program here in the school district. So I think this is only the first time you're going to hear of Oliver and Landon and Logan. I think you're going to hear from them a lot more in the future, not only as students at Grain Valley, but as they move into their adult life. So if you ever needed something to make you feel better about the future, these 3 young men are it. So with that being said, we've got a presentation for them, and it's from the Board of Education for the Distinguished Performance Award for putting together the Galaxy Glow 5K Family Run Walk. So first of all, Landon Small. Come on up, Landon. Logan English. And you must be Oliver English. One last thing I've got to tell you, and the thing that impressed us from the very first meeting, Dr. Welly and I would walk into the room. Oliver was always the best dressed person in the room. He always had on, at the very least, a shirt and tie, if not a coat and shirt and tie. But all three of these young men would make a point of shaking everyone's hands before the meeting and shaking everyone's hands after the meeting. I mean, you'd get done and you'd go, "Are you sure you're in the 4th grade?" But again, amazing young men, and their futures are only brighter. So thanks, guys.
Okay, next we have Green Valley High School Principal Drew Smith, who will recognize 2 Green Valley High School students for their distinguished performance.
All right, I'm thrilled to introduce Zach Blees. Come on up here, Zach. Zach is one of our amazing students at the high school. I'm going to let you know about what he did. So he is a National Merit Semifinalist Scholarship Award winner. That puts him in the top 1% of high school seniors. So let's just give a round of applause for that. All right. You may recognize Zach. Not only does he have the brains, but he has the bronze. He's been up here before for state wrestling. I've walked in on meetings where he's leading the wrestling team. He's a leader in our building through and through. And this is one thing that's just another accolade for him. He's probably a little annoyed with me, actually, over the last 2. Did you take it as a freshman too? So 2-3 years, I've been like, "Hey, Zach, you're going to do this right. Zach, you're going to do this right." Every time I see him in the hallways. And after his sophomore year, he took the test, and I'm like, well, he's going to be a semifinalist. I just knew it, and he definitely represented. I think he scored the highest score that I've ever seen for a Grand Valley student. So amazing things there. I will not be shocked if he's not up here. I mean, I will be shocked if he's not up here again for other accolades throughout the school year. All right, let's give him a round of applause.
All right. We want to thank all the recipients of their recognitions tonight. Thanks for all the hard work and everything you've done, and the parents, thanks for all your hard work as well. At this time, we'll take a little break, and if you'd like to exit the meeting, we'll allow that before we move on with the rest of the meeting. If you want to stay, you're welcome to as well.
Congratulations, everybody. Have a good night.
All right, that will take us to patron comments. Any school district patron may present information to the board at this time. Presentations will be limited to no more than 5 minutes. The board will not take action on any issue not included on the published agenda. However, all comments will be taken into consideration by the Board of Education. Patrons are requested not to discuss individual faculty, staff, or students. Patrons are reminded that this is a public forum and comments relative to individuals could result in litigation. However, any patron may request to meet with the board in executive session. No response will be given by the board at this time. And we do have one patron, Ms. Brill.
I bet you're surprised to see me up here. I come before you tonight to speak about the discussion at the last workshop about patron comments and how it fits into the school board meetings. I would like to thank Mr. Pollard, who pointed out the difficulty that I think we have with our patron comment system, which is if something comes up in a school board meeting that a patron would like to respond to, it is 4 weeks until that patron can respond. And more than once, and it's happened to me, as you pointed out, Mr. Pollard, they're acting. You're voting on the issue that I wanted to speak about. I would like to see that patron comments be at each meeting, workshop and meeting. I'm the one who speaks most often. I don't think I've ever offended the 5-minute rule, or you didn't stop me maybe. But, so I don't think it would take a lot of time. That would mean that there'd be 2 weeks between something coming to our attention, a patron's attention, and our ability to respond to it. I don't think it would disturb your workflow, and I would very much recommend that. Thank you for your time.
All right, thank you. Next item on the agenda is reports. We'll start with the superintendent's report.
A couple of highlights for you. First of all, we have our update on our year-to-date operating revenues. We are at 15.7% of our year-to-date revenues, and we are also tracking similarly on our expenses, where it's 16.56% there. And tracking our health premium overages, since the last time the board has reviewed this, we have made a payment for our health coverage of $300,000, and that's consistent with what we have budgeted. It's $300,000 of our $900,000 that we budgeted for this year. And this month, on a 3-month rotation, this month we're looking at our proportional attendance, our year-end attendance number, which is going to stare us in the face all year this year, is 89.1%. And right now we are tracking at 91.9%. So we're looking pretty good there. We have the full administrative report that follows. I do also want to draw to your attention, and I did forward the board members, I forwarded you an email with a link in case you are available and interested. But our annual Bright Futures Luncheon will be on November 18th. It'll be at noon at the community center. Doors open at 11:30. We'll serve lunch and start the program right around noon. But you can RSVP, and you'll notice that if you pull that email up, you are actually RSVPing through the Chamber of Commerce. This is in conjunction with their monthly meetings, and our Bright Futures annual celebration and fundraiser is their program for the month. So it's a very good partnership. And with that, I will open it up for any questions on the superintendent's report.
All right, thank you. Any questions on the report?
Yeah, looking at the electronic device incidents, South Middle School, I think looks worse than it is. Like if the graph went to, 15 or 20, then 2 wouldn't look bad. But what caught my attention is the high school. What constitutes a device incident? It seems like a lot of time,
Sure.
not wasted, but I would think that takes a lot of the staff's time.
Sure. First, I'll point out that even though we're tracking all 3 of the secondary buildings right now, there really isn't much change for middle school expectations year over year. The biggest change that we're seeing is at the high school. This year's sophomores, juniors, and seniors all had full access to their devices during passing periods and lunchtime a year ago. So it has been a little bit of an adjustment. We can let Dr. Smith affirm or correct me, but by all accounts, they're off to a very good start, and it's smoother than expected. So even though in September they were up to 200 device incidents, we don't view that as a problem at this point. Dr. Smith, anything, I mean, we're just looking at a bar graph. Is there anything anecdotally you would add about what September looked like? Because on paper, it looks like September was twice as disruptive as August. Now, it was also twice as long, but what are you seeing at this point at the high school? Is it bogging down the administration at this point?
Sophomores are kind of in this biggest struggle right now, but the rest of them are in sync. They're into their high school career.
Yeah.
But no, we're still holding them accountable for it.
So our intention for the next few months at least is to make sure that we're continuing to track how things are going at the high school, because that's where the change is. I don't know that we're going to necessarily continue to focus on middle school tracking, because to this first couple of months of school, they're not seeing anything that they weren't seeing a year ago, and they didn't really feel like they had problem before. But the high school is where we want to make sure they have our full support. And if their situation changes in year one of this implementation, we want to make sure we're there for them.
All right, thank you.
All right, any other questions from the board? I just have a few. First, we'll start with the special education side. I was just reviewing year over year the numbers between IEPs, 504s. It looks like between 23-24 to 24-25, there was about a 5% increase, and then from 24-25 to 25-26, about a 9% increase. Is that just the our monitoring and finding the students is getting better, or are there more students coming into the district that have higher needs?
It is, I would say that our abilities to find and identify students, although it gets better, we hope it gets better all the time, I don't know that there's a dramatic shift in our ability to identify students. So it really is a change in the needs of the students. And so the other thing I would point out is you're looking at the growth in the number of students and the growth in the percentage of students, but what we're also seeing is the severity of the needs that are represented within those numbers. So I would say it's exponential in terms of the resources. And in fact, the bond issue proposal that we're going to bring to the board has a lot to do with the growing amount of real estate that our high-needs special education population requires. And some of that is class ratios, because those students require a very low student-to-teacher ratio. But yes, what you point out is 100% what we see is growth. Now, as we compare to the state, we are not out of line with state averages, but we have grown into, and I believe now are just starting to reach or surpass state average on our students with IEPs. But we were below state average for years. Now we're at or just above, and yeah, what happens next is worth tracking.
All right. Another part that I had reviewed here in the special education portion was the professional development, that time that was spent with state compliant special education paperwork and instruction, as well as the compliance related to IEP that was completed during the Valley Learning Pathways for the first year special ed teachers. So as far as just the compliance and the professional development time that gets spent there, is there adequate staff to make sure that all of our compliance is taking place?
Yeah, and honestly, the board has been very supportive in this effort over the years, especially in recent years, that as we see the need for more hands on deck, we figure it out in the budget, and the board accommodates us. So that's been very helpful. And although I mean compliance is a big dirty word, this is where the teachers want the support too. So we're very pleased to be able to help them meet their compliance. When they are, there's some systems that are more bureaucratic than others, and there certainly are bureaucracies associated with special education, but at the heart of it, it really is about identifying the specific needs of the individual and then planning and monitoring. So the compliance associated with all that is one more layer. But yeah, it's one of the things that I think we should be really proud of as a district is our ability to respond quickly when we see that there are needs. Ideally, we add all of our teaching positions in the spring for the upcoming school year, but as this board is familiar, we're also willing to be pretty nimble in August and September as needed if we find that we didn't predict all the kids were going to be where we thought they were going to be. So appreciate the support.
The next question I have is in the communications. So I noticed that the website's being updated. I did take a look at that. And as far as the communications portions of that or the community communications that are getting posted, how quickly are those getting updated? I just noticed the last one that was on there was from 9/3.
Are you talking about the community, the what's new?
Well, yeah, so I just see what's in our report, it says what's new, and then under that it says, the revamping of the website, and down in here it says that they've added the news to the website, and I was just looking through the website today, and the last update for community news was from 9/3. So how often are we updating that?
Are you talking about this one? These headlines?
So I think the what's new that was being highlighted are the news stories that are being added every few days. I
Okay.
think what President Porter might be referring
Okay.
to is sort of the hard copy version of our
That could
community
be.
news that goes out.
That could
We
be.
try to about quarterly get them all on there.
Okay.
If somebody wants to refer back, you can go back in your Parent Square. But if it's a community member that doesn't have Parent Square and they wanted to see a community news that was sent out.
I got you. So there's a couple different places on the website to find
So
those.
one is directly our community news that we send out about weekly, and then the other is just frequent sort of news stories that are written to highlight some things
Got it.
going on in the district. So they are two different
Okay,
items.
got it.
Yeah.
Perfect.
But
That
you're
makes
right,
sense.
we're about due to get about a month's worth of, those Friday updates on there that we do, just in case someone wants to refer back.
No problem.
Yeah.
Another question I had was about Parent Square. And do we have a way to track analytics as far as engagement from parents and guardians as to how they're engaging in Parent Square?
Yeah, I mean, we do have analytics on it. Really what our focus is on is to make sure it gets delivered. So if we we can send it in multiple ways, right? You can get it in email, you can get it in text. Sometimes we do a phone call. So it might get rejected in one way, say an email, so then it tries a text. So we try to make sure that every family is getting communicated with in some way, shape, or form. But it does send out to up to 4 contacts, which is a lot. So maybe great uncle has purposefully blocked those communications, but we see mom and dad are still getting them, and then we can move on. So we do an audit of our like newsletters and things that are sent out at every building to make sure that every family is getting communicated with. I mean, that's really what we dig into and try to pay attention to.
Okay, not necessarily that they're engaging in the app, it's
I mean,
that
they
just
can
at least
like
the
it.
information is being sent out.
Exactly, that they're receiving it. It's what's most important to us. Not everybody's going to appreciate, I'm not even great about appreciating them or liking them or hearting them, but I read them and you can see that they've opened them. That's the other piece that we can see, not only were they delivered, but they were opened. That's
Okay.
what we really focus on.
Yeah,
And we work with the building principals. Cameron does a great job of communicating with them to have their admin assistants help and reach out to families like, we must have a letter wrong in your email address. You don't seem to be getting our correspondences. So we've been working on that and continue to as new issues pop up, basically.
all right, very good. The next one that I had, I think it's the last one I have on this, is maybe not, but the Project Lead the Way, I noticed in Prairie Branch's update, they made some notes about the Project Lead the Way from an elementary school standpoint. Do you have some information about what that's going to look like in the elementary school? Project Lead the Way, how that's going to work, or how that's working?
Yeah. So, we have just written new science curriculum that we just are starting to implement this year. We intentionally wrote in, Project Lead the Way within the curriculum. Our goal would be about one a quarter. But in order to implement Project Lead the Way in the classroom in previous years, only our instructional coaches, which is one teacher per building, was trained. So Project Lead the Way has a requirement. You have to be trained in order to implement it in your classroom. So we took the opportunity for those teachers who were most, the early adopters, if you will, that were most excited and eager about it. And through their Valley Learning Pathway, one of our instructional coaches who's trained the trainer model has been training those groups of teachers this year, not only in the required training, but some good practices for implementation. And so I would call them sort of our experimental group. So we're making sure they have enough kits and supplies, and we are implementing that this school year. Our intention then is sort of like we do curriculum camp in May, to make some opportunities available for 2 to 3 day workshops where teachers could come in, receive a stipend to get trained so that we continue to grow that capacity till we get all of our elementary teachers trained. We'll also offer training during the school year next year because not everybody can make it work after school's out. But it's going to be a process. We also can only obtain so many kits at once because it's a high expense. So we continue to apply for grants, which you all are great to approve for us, but we get about that $5,000 at a time typically, and that only buys so many kits. So we're just slowly expanding our stock of materials as well as the teachers that are being trained, with hopes that it's fully implemented where every grade level would do at least one module per quarter.
All right. Very good.
I'll do that next.
All right, that's all I got on that for right now. Thank you. Next item would be, where is it? Oh, the financial summary. There we go.
Financial summary, yeah, we like to do this roughly quarterly, just see how we're tracking year over year. It's a little bit more detailed. We do have Mr. Hooper with us tonight to help us answer any questions, but this has more of a breakdown. First page is on revenues. You can see how we're trending on local revenues, state and federal revenues. I'll point out on the local revenues, you can see that we are down from where we were a year ago at this point, and there's a couple of things in there. A year ago at this time, we had a $300 and some thousand connectivity grant that was coded in as local revenue, and this year we are down a little bit also because we have a delayed. The way that our investments are set up, we have a delayed on where the interest is hitting us. So we're confident we're going to get the interest. It's just going to hit later in the budget year. So that's one example or two examples of why local revenue is down a little bit. But there's nothing there that we are concerned about. And then I'll do a quick highlight on the expenditure side, and then we'll answer any questions. But you can see salaries and benefits continue to be, roughly 80% of our overall budget, and we're trending accordingly given the fact that we did do increases to salaries and to benefits this year. And on purchase services, one of the main things that we are a little bit ahead of the game on, that looks like such a big jump, but you can see that it is about 590,000 that we're ahead of where we were a year ago on purchase services. The largest piece of that is, and it's certainly not $500,000, but we have made our SRO services payment to the city a couple months sooner than what we typically do. So that makes up that's probably the biggest single item that's in there. And then on the supplies and capital, this is our first year coming off of significant bond expenses. And so that's why supplies and capital really would return to more of what usual supplies and capital expense would look like when we're not in the middle of spending on a major bond issue. But with that, I would answer any questions and probably lean on Mr. Hooper with any of the finer points.
All right, any questions on the financial summary? The only one I had was early childhood ECSE. Is that just a timing? And the previous years it had been 0 right now, and it's 411 right now.
So right in the middle, and it has a little number behind it, revenue earned later in the year.
It's just timing.
That particular one was money for last year that we had put we're supposed to recover, and they didn't pay all of it out by the June 30th. So we received one payment in July for last year. So that's what that is.
Very good. The next item will be student lunch debt reduction plan.
So we formalized a plan a year ago, and as Dr. Gooch has shared with the board, making some changes this year, a couple of significant changes, in fact. So those are captured in here, the updates. So the K through 12 students, the bullet item number 2 and 3 there, those are both added this year. If a family has accrued lunch debt, but they complete and qualify for free or reduce for free lunch program, the school district will then eliminate their negative balance. So that's a pretty significant change. And then we have also employed the services of a debt collection service. So when a student's negative balance exceeds $400, the family's debt information will be sent to CSR debt collection. And once that debt has been collected, the service will send the funds to the school district to be applied to the student's negative balance. And then at the very bottom of the page, I will point out we were asked to set a goal, a benchmark. And so our goal is to keep our overall student debt amount to be less than 5% of the total department annual revenue. And we're off to a pretty good start there. Although fall is the time when the big collections happen. So from here, then it seems like now we start accumulating the debt. So with the debt collection agency in place, we really consider this a trial period, and we'll track it for the year. And at the end of the year, if we feel like, it helps us, it doesn't help us, or it's inconclusive, this might be a practice that we try a couple of years before we rule it out.
All right, thank you. Any questions on the lunch debt reduction plan? All right, very good.
Hold on. So I see the students won't be allowed to purchase tickets to extracurricular activities. Is there some, I don't want to open up a can of worms because I don't know how much money it brings in, but on the flip side, would there be some reward system, whether it's achievement, GPA, they're current with their student lunch invoices, payments, where they could attend events for free? Like, would there be more participation at soccer games and all the sporting events if students didn't have to pay for it? And it might be another conversation, but could something like that be put in that where if we're disciplining them, that you can't even buy a ticket? If it is current, could there be a reward system that would also encourage student participation? I attended the soccer game last night. There's a lot of running in soccer, by the way. Like, I'm not a soccer player. And I was just sitting there and I was like, not a lot of students, right? I mean, maybe not as popular as football or something else, basketball, volleyball, but maybe that's just a thought. The students wouldn't have to pay to attend.
Appreciate that.
So.
Yeah. That's a great
you for
discussion
getting
we
that.
can have with Dr. Smith. and-
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you for getting that. Okay. Oh, awesome. Well, there you go. You're already doing it. Thank you. I'll start showing up more.
All right, Any other questions on the lunch debt reduction plan? All right. That will take us to the comprehensive literacy plan.
Yes, so this is the third version of this plan. It's the first time you're seeing this version of the plan. You've seen it shared out the last couple of years at this time. But the Missouri Comprehensive Literacy Plan, it's a statewide framework. It's based on the science of reading, and it guides all districts in the state to develop reading instruction that's highly effective and structured on the 6 core components. And you'll see those in blue, the blue boxes throughout the document. Plan calls for continuous professional development for staff, an annual review by the district's literacy team, and an emphasis on supporting literacy skills across the content areas. So the primary intended audience, it is a compliance document with DESE, but the primary audience is our staff. We want our teachers to be able to read and decipher what the plan does and how the pieces fit together so that they see where we're trying to get. There's one of the pieces that was added this year was the reflection piece, and that's what you'll see at the end. But I initially thought this was something that needed board approval, but Dr. Allen clarified for me that it just needs to be shared with the board each year, which we do try to do. So it does not need to come back. But with that, certainly we would welcome any feedback. It is kind of a technical document, but you know, if we're making it more technical than it needs to be, then we'd welcome the feedback and maybe clarify some of the language in it or how it reads.
All right. Any questions or comments on the literacy plan? No? I've collaborated a little bit with Dr. Taylor and Ms. Schwartz and made a few notes, and we can run through those offline just to see if some changes might need to be made or not, or if they're fine the way they are. So I'll just get with you after this, or maybe even tomorrow.
Sounds great, thanks.
All right.
So,
Yes.
just question then, would that then come before the board, the full board, just so we know what changes were made?
Yeah, I think it depends on the scope.
Okay.
Just having a sidebar with Mr. Porter just before the gavel, some of it is just, you know, we kind of talk our own language in education, and so there's a lot of acronyms. So if we're just kind of clarifying the flow and clarifying what the acronyms mean, probably wouldn't need to come back. But if there's a change to structure or definitions or things, it's easy to bring it back to you.
Yeah,
Okay.
none of the meat of the plan is what I was looking at.
Fair enough. Thank you.
The next item, student enrollment trends.
Very pleased to bring this report back to you. This is the time of year, every year, where we look at how we compare year over year. And so I'm going to walk through some highlights, starting on table 1, which is our kindergarten through 12th grade enrollment trends. And you can see by the blue line that our growth has remained relatively slow since leveling off in 2017. We have 4,467 students as of October 1st, and we like to compare October 1st year over year. That is down 18 students compared to a year ago. Now, a year ago was our record high year, so that's part of leveling off, is that there are years where you set a record and then you've got another year or two where you drop off a dozen or two students. So we are still a growing district, but our growth has certainly slowed. We have been between 4,400 and 4,500 students for 7 years in a row. So for being at 4,400 students right now, we've kind of hovered around this spot for about 7 years. Table 3, our elementary schools are at or approaching capacity, yet our K-5 enrollment has remained relatively level since 2012. We have 1,901 students in grades K through 5 across the school district as of October 1st. Overall, we're at 93% capacity in grades K through 5, and Matthews is the highest with a 96% capacity. The red line on this graph represents where we would draw 90% of capacity. So it's not our capacity number, it's 90%. So in our long-range facilities planning, 90% capacity at the elementary level triggers consideration of a next elementary school. So there's two reasons why we haven't already added elementary number 5. One is you see that we have been trending relatively flat, like I said, since 2012. But second, that red line hasn't always cut that low. Each year or every couple of years, as our high-needs special education programs have grown, we have recalculated the capacities of the buildings, so the red line is actually dropping. And that's more of our issue. That's the second reason why we shouldn't build an elementary school, because it's not economical to take on the operational expense of another building when we don't have significant growth in enrollment. So we're going to find a more economical way to meet our needs at the building without making the financial investment at this time. Again, I'm blending both our enrollment projection numbers and what the end game is, which will be recommended ballot language in the next couple of months that we'll bring back to the board. So that was table 3. Then I want to look at table 5, because table 5 has adjusted capacities of our elementary schools in it. Prairie Branch is rated for just under 600 students, and that's our desired elementary capacity for maximum efficiency. So by comparison, Matthews' current capacity is 418 students. For us to expand that closer to 600 students, that's an addition of 182 student capacity. And Snyabar, we could grow 94 students if we had the space for it. And then Stony Point, if we got it up to a capacity of 600, would be another 72 students. So you see, by making our 4 elementary schools all similar capacity, it really would kick the can down the road of having to build another elementary school. Now, I want to clarify that we're not necessarily going to add on to all 3 of those schools right away, but if we add on to 1 or 2 of them, we know that we could add on to the others in smaller projects in the years ahead. And then table 6 shows our middle school enrollment history. Middle school enrollment remains relatively flat overall, with North having passed South a year ago, and that trend continues. With 549 students, North has seen 11 years of continuous growth, while South Middle School, with 494 students, has seen 10 years of declining enrollment, likely reflecting the growth of development over time in the northern half of the district and the quote-unquote aging, no offense, of the southern half of the district. However, I do want to point out, sorry, Mr. Myers, it's nothing personal. I do want to point out that this year's 6th grade class well, really at both schools, but this year's 6th grade class at South is the largest class. And we did see more growth at Stony Point this year than we have seen. It's the most growth at Stony Point since the building opened in 2007. So there is hope for a regreening on the south side. So it's too soon to overreact that we need to make any other drastic changes there. We do have capacities for students at the middle schools. However, the middle schools, I will give you a preview, they face the same capacity challenges, trends that the elementary schools do, because their high needs programs at the middle school level are taking up more space than they did years ago as well. So although the middle schools are in the best shape from a capacity standpoint between high school and elementary, they're still facing some of the same challenges as the other groups. And then finally, table 7, high school enrollment reaches a new high after 2 years of slowed growth. They have 1,523 students in grades 9 through 12 as of October 1st, which is 28 more high school students than a year ago. We have shown a year-over-year increase at the high school for 12 of the last 14 years, and you see that in the blue line. We don't see a blue line like that at any of the other grade spans, so this is still where our strongest trend is. But you also see 2 capacity lines. You see a yellow and a red. The yellow line is what we call instructional capacity. And that's 1,462 students. And you can see that we are above our instructional capacity. We calculate that as roughly 75% of our true capacity or our full capacity. And we use 75% instead of 90 because we have the 4-block schedule. And when every teacher has their own room in a 4-block schedule, then 75% of the classrooms are being used at any one time. So as you get to every classroom being used every hour by somebody, that's the red line. You don't want to hit the red line, but when as you approach, you get past the midpoint between yellow and red, things are going to start to get a little bit more uncomfortable at the high school. So I don't know the answer to this question, but I'd predict we have at least one teacher on a cart right now, because that's the idea. Once you get above the yellow, you start putting teachers on a cart, and once you get past the red, you don't have room, you don't have places for them to go anymore. So, but we're trending okay. We are growing. We cannot ignore the high school, but our implications, which I guess I'll take you to that on the next page. The greatest need for additional classrooms at this time is at the elementary level. And as I've explained already about the high needs program, that's where we recommend additions to one or more of the elementary schools at this time. The high school will need more classrooms in the next few years, but the additions and continued renovations consistent with the current long-range facilities plan there can be paused for now so that elementary can become the focus. And the capacities of our middle schools, as I said, are also impacted by the growth of our high-needs special ed program. So they'll need attention at some point, but for now, they're holding tight. And although it was not the subject of this analysis, our early childhood center has its own set of needs. We recommend a small addition now and with some renovation and an outline of where a larger addition could be at the current site, just to give everyone hope that there is a plan at a time when that is needed. And then, as always, number 5, we'll commit resources as needed where they're needed to do what's needed for students. So with that, I would open that up for any questions.
Thank you. Any questions on the enrollment trends? All right, seeing none, we will move to new business. Look for a motion to approve the budget amendment as presented.
So moved.
Second?
Dr. Welly, you want to explain the amendment?
Yeah, I'll get us started, and then I'll turn it over to Dr. Gooch and Mr. Hooper to pick up where I left off. But on the main page there, the amended revenue changes. We reported last spring, as we were wrapping up the budget, last year's budget, that our collection rate was down at the local level, and we budget a 97% collection rate, or at least we did for this year. We actually ended up with a 94% collection rate at the end of last year, and so this budget amendment reflects an adjustment down to 95% collection rate, and that's probably due to a combination of things. One of the things we've been curious about ever since it passed was the implications for Senate Bill 190, which is anyone age 62 or older could get a freeze and a credit on their primary residence. The county doesn't, at this point, provide us numbers on what the implications are for that, and so we're just left wondering, for the amount we're not collecting that we were anticipating, how much of that is due to Senate Bill 190 or the amended Senate Bill 756. Couple of other things is people either aren't paying their taxes or they're paying them on protest. Now, the county does track protested taxes. So if you pay your taxes in protest, then that's held in escrow, and we could get those the budget year, the next year, a couple years down the road. So every year we get previous years' released payments. So, but overall, a drop from 94 or 97% collection rate, we're going to lower the budget to 95% and hope that's all the further we need to take that. And then at the bottom of the first page, the operating excess and shortfall, you can see that we are now reflecting a shortfall of $383,000, but not to be concerned because that actually is primarily due to our bond spending. So we are now going to increase by $327,000. We are going to spend down that much of our last bond issue. That was the spring 2023 bond, and we budgeted zero, and so the money is there, but we budgeted zero. Now we're spending that money, and so that's why it reflects a shortfall of $383,000. Then there is, there's more to the report, but with that, well, the one other thing I'll point out before I turn it back will be our original budget projection for our end of budget fund balance was 21.25%, and our adjusted now goes up a little bit to 21.76. We would like to stay at least 22 or 23% on our fund balance, so any upward movement on that is a positive. So.
All right, very good. Any questions on the budget amendment? I had one question on page 3 of the accounts, down towards the bottom. There's one account that went negative with the changes. The second one from the bottom. No, on the third, on these. Oh. On the third page of that, second one from the bottom. Yeah. We can't have a negative ending balance, right? It all has to balance somewhere. One would think. No, you're all right. I would have brought it up earlier, but I just found it a little while before we came.
It's at the bottom of page 6 in the attachment.
Yeah, I'll have to look at that. I don't, basically what I do in this is I'm taking what was budgeted the first time and then what the budget was shown in last time. So it could be that somebody was in a different place. So it's not just in this one. So it makes this one look like it goes negative. So I'll have to take a look at that. I mean, I wouldn't not approve it for that, but we'll look at that.
You'll figure out why it's
I'll
negative,
figure out why
and
that's
you'll fix
negative.
it.
Yes.
Okay. All right. With that, any other questions or comments on that? No? All right. All in favor of approving the budget amendment as presented, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. Next item is the Belcher Scholarship nominee needs to be named by December 18th.
Yeah, this is the time of year that we ask if there are 2 or 3 board members that would like to serve on a selection committee and review any applicants that come in from our high school seniors on the Belcher Scholarship. And although it's due December 18th, really we could bring this back as soon as the November business meeting, the recommendation from the committee.
All right. Do we have any volunteers for the committee, the board committee?
I will. Do we have any applications for it yet?
I don't believe that I haven't heard that we do just yet, but I don't know that I don't know that our students even know about it just yet.
Yeah, it's early.
I'll Join them.
All right.
It worked out well last time.
Yeah.
Good team. Thank you. All right. Next item on the agenda is the first read of several board policies. Again, this is going to be the first read for 3 policies with recommended changes from the administration, plus MSBA Series 2025D with changes prompted by the state statute changes in 2025. Does anybody have any questions or comments on these policies at this time? If not, we will bring them back at the workshop to go over. Do you want to?
I might give a couple highlights for, there's 3 that we are bringing forward with recommendations from the administration. So we'll just take them in order. Support staff leaves. We are proposing to increase the PTO and BTO reimbursement amount for our support staff when they leave the district to be consistent with certified staff. It's currently dramatically different. In fact, we are dead last in the metro in what we reimburse when somebody leaves the district. And so we would like to get more competitive on that. Not that we're trying to push people out, but we feel like this could incentivize people to build up their PTO and their BTO. But we would like to tie it to, similar to what we do with our certified staff, we would like to align it with half of the sub-rate pay. So we just want to make non-certified pay out the same way that our certified folks do. On the next one, graduation requirements, we propose changing one word in this one for clarification on reviewing a high school transfer student in. And then on the assignment of students to grade levels and classes, this change captures in policy language our existing practice on the transfer of high school credits from an unaccredited institution or home school. So it just puts the language as a matter of policy.
I have a question on the high school graduation that I don't need answered right now, but that I will want to talk about more at the workshop, is that we have earned the credits. So number 6 on the requirements is that they have earned the credits between 9th and 12th grade. And our 8th graders are currently doing high school level coursework during 8th grade for Algebra 1. And I would just wonder why they wouldn't get high school credit for that, since it is a high school course, end of course exam, all of that is tested and treated the same. It's the same curriculum. So just something to, like,
Yeah.
that is a question I have, and we probably need some information.
We'll dive into that.
So yeah, for next time.
Thank you.
Very good. Any other questions on any of the policies tonight? No?
On the, sorry, the student dress code, the MSBA has updated the policy to align with the updates, which also includes, so MSBA does not recommend that the school board adopt a student dress code, or what does that mean? Like, do we have a dress code?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
But it just shouldn't be in the policy manual, per MSBA's recommendation.
Oh, the specific dress code for each school, I'd have to look at the intro again, but
Okay.
I think what they are letting the board know is that this is, you have policy on dress code, but the dress code itself is not policy.
Got it, okay. Thank you for clarifying that.
Yep.
All right. Any other questions on the policies? No? All right. Mr. Williams has requested just a quick moment for an acknowledgement.
Yeah, I just wanted to say something real quick. I got to attend the homecoming football game Friday night, and we had a great crowd, a lot of people. It looked like a lot of people that graduates that came back and stuff. But I wanted to commend, and I'm not sure who all this would go out to, but there were a lot of people from administration, but also from our custodial team and stuff that were out doing an incredible job of just keeping things cleaned up, picked up. I walked by multiple people doing what needed to be done, as well as our our police and security were there in force, just making sure everything was well done. And I felt like I was at Disney with all these people cleaning up all around me. I just didn't have anybody say, have a magical day. But it was great to see that I think we represented ourselves very well that night, and they did a great job. So I just thought that was worth mentioning here, that it was very noticed just how well everybody did that night in taking care of things. And so I wanted to mention that.
Thank you. Yeah, as you could probably guess, that was all pretty intentional. So glad it was well received. Thank you.
All right, very good. Thank you, Mr. Williams. With that takes us to the end of our agenda for tonight. I would look for a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor of adjourning, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right. Thank you for coming. Have a good rest of your evening.